All right, Barber's Lounge back with the VGR 880C and the 880T, and we're going to review this clipper and trimmer, and this is going to be a special one. And what makes it special is because this is the first time that I've seen this motor brought to the clipper market. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to heat test the blades. We're going to test the runtime. We're going to take the machines apart, and we're going to get into everything like we usually do. So let's start with the blades. Now for the clipper, we have the detachable cutting head. So that's good if you have different type of blades or you have to replace blades, and easier to clean out. Now a machine that we saw this on recently is the Andis Phenom, which also has a detachable cutting head. And this detachable cutting head does not fit on the VGR, so you won't be able to do that. Now let's talk about the blades on the clipper. All right, for the stationary blade, we have 21 teeth. I didn't have any of these teeth grab pores. This has the grooves on the back. This helps organize and feed the hair into the cutting blade. This also adds to customer comfort because there's less metal rubbing on the head, creating friction. Flip the blade over. You see we have a bunch of oil reservoirs. This is the metal injection molded blade, so very precise in its construction. Moving on to the cutting blade. Cutting blade has 30 teeth. This is a ceramic blade. I'm not a fan of this trend, but you could get away with it with the clipper. Flip it over. You'll see this also has oil reservoirs in the teeth and on the feet of the blade. The cam follower has these little metal sockets where the tension spring fits into, and it also has a little lip here to help lock it into place and stabilize the blade. And for further proof, metal, ceramic. Moving on to the trimmer. The trimmer also has a detachable cutting head with the same benefits as I spoke about before. Now, if you wanted to zero gap this machine, you would loosen or take out these 3 screws, because you have to move around this silver part that's holding the cam follower that's keeping the cutting blade in place. And there we go. This will allow you to move this around so you could gap it however you see fit. All right, so now let's talk about the blades on the trimmer. All right, now the stationary blade on the trimmer has 47 teeth. It has a T shape. This is for better visibility and to go around the ear and get in tight corners. This also has the grooves on the back with the same benefits that I spoke about earlier. And if you flip it over, you will see this is also a metal injection molded blade, but it has no oil reservoirs. Moving on to the cutting blade, this has 30 teeth. And again, this is a ceramic cutting blade. This does have oil reservoirs in the back. And to further prove its materials, see, stationary blade is metal, ceramic blade is not. Now the benefits of ceramic is that it's supposed to help keep your blades cool and quiet if done right. Now you could get away with a ceramic blade on the clipper. Every time I've had a trimmer with a ceramic blade, it will debulk well, but it just does not hit. It doesn't line up well, just what it is. And ceramic is also not as durable as metal. It doesn't bend. Ceramic snaps. Okay, so now let's talk about the coatings on this blade. Now on the box, on the manual, on the listing, it says nothing about the coating on these blades. I've messaged VGR 3 different ways and really didn't get any clear answers. So while coatings are supposed to keep your blades cool, sharp, and prevent rust, I don't know if there's anything on here. This might just be for a color. So how about we just heat test them like we usually do? All right, so we got the thermal camera out, and what we're going to do is we're going to let the machine run for 30 minutes, and then we're going to see how hot the blades get in different sections. All right, we're coming up on 30 minutes. Once it hits 30 minutes, I'm gonna take the camera and move it around. Now you see I got about 113, 114 degrees on the bottom of the blade, and we're at like 126 degrees right in the middle of the blade, and the contact area is about 133 degrees. This is actually the hottest blade that I've ever measured. All right, so now we have the trimmer out. We're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna turn the machine on, we're gonna let it run for 30 minutes, and we're gonna see how hot the blades get in different sections. All right, so coming up on 30 minutes, let's take the camera and we're gonna move it around and check out the different sections. Now at the bottom of the blade, you're gonna see we're at about 117 degrees. Now as we move that up to the center of the blade, we're at about the same thing, 116 degrees. And the contact area is about 117, 118 degrees. So this whole blade is hot. All right, so now let's get into this motor. Now what this is a brushless motor with an external rotor. The rotor is the part that spins around that you see right there. Typically, in a lot of machines, a brushless motor will look like this, where the part that rotates is inside and protected by this jacket. The reason why they put the rotor on the outside is because you can generate more torque. So basically what that means is by increasing the size of the part that spins around, you have a bigger diameter, radius, circumference, whatever you want to call it, where it develops more leverage and torque while it's coming around, and it could just chop through hair. But does that really matter? Does it really increase the torque that much, or is this just a gimmick? Let's check it out. You ever seen a machine go through a brush like that? Let's step it up a notch. Oof. Made it through that too, but just couldn't go as fast. But how about the trimmer? Now the trimmer with the teeth, it feeds the hair in slower because it's meant for fine detailing, but let's see if it can make it through a little bit. We'll just go slow. Yeah, so it's not happening with the trimmer, mainly because of how the teeth feed in the hair. But the motor definitely has the torque. Now this type of motor, it's not a new invention. You've seen it on drones and stuff like that. It's just an external rotor, brushless motor. And VGR is calling it the Rotatech. And TPOB has also announced it as well, and he's calling it the Vortex motor. Now, I'm sure everyone was rushing to try to get this motor to market first, and that's why he announced it around the same time this came out. And if you're familiar with TPOB, what do you think he's going to use that motor for? TPOB himself doesn't like vector motors, which are found in the Instinct, was also found in the Goblin. So if he was to bring out something like this, it might even be for the Goblin too. But we'll see. All right, so now let's check out the RPMs for this motor on the 880C Clipper. On the box, it says we're supposed to get 7,200 RPMs. And remember, the RPMs is just how fast the blades go. It's not the torque. It's not the force. It's not what I just showed you with the brush test. But let's see if we can get that 7,200 RPMs. $7,186, round that up a little bit, 7,200, true to spec with the Clipper. Okay, now the trimmer has the same motor and is said to get the same RPM, 7,200, so let's check it out. Right on the money with the trimmer as well, round that up, we got 7,200. So now let's clean up and get into the battery. All right, now on the box for the 880C, it is said to get 150 minutes working. That comes out to 2.5 hours. So let's give that a test. All right, so we're putting the Clipper on the charger. You're going to see that ring pulsate red. Once it goes steady to a white ring, that means we have a full charge. And now that we have a full charge, we're going to take that machine, throw it in the clamp, put on a shot clock, and see if we can get those 2.5 hours runtime. And you see we got 2 hours and 38 minutes. That's almost right on the money for the advertised runtime. Love to see that. And for the 880T trimmer, it's said to get 200 minutes working time. That comes out to 3 hours and 20 minutes. So let's test that as well. All right, same thing with the trimmer. The ring in the middle is going to pulsate red. And as soon as it's at a full charge, it will be a steady white ring. Now we're at a full charge. And let's throw that machine in the clamp, hit the shot clock, and see if we could get that 3 hours and 20 minutes. You see we got 3 hours and 42 minutes, well above the advertised runtime. Love to see that as well. All right, now let's get into the body of these machines. Now on the clipper, you see we have this silver trim around the whole machine. We have the motor cutout window, the power button. I have shut it off a couple times by accident while cutting, but not enough to the point where I complain. Has the regular charging cord at the bottom. There's no USB-C. However, the charging stand has USB-C on the back, so you could charge USB-C there. And the charging stand works for both machines. Turning the clipper to the side, you see it has a slightly curved shape and it has a couple finger grooves in the back. If you want to compare the size to the Instinct, it's very compact. It's about the same size as the Instinct. And if you want to see it against the Magic Clip, way more compact than the Magic Clip. We do have the 5 detent locking system, and as we talked about earlier, the detachable cutting head. Moving on to the trimmer, same thing. We have that silver trim. We have the motor cutout window, power button in the middle, regular charging at the bottom. On the charging stand, it does charge USB-C and regular plug. Turn it to the side, finger groove slightly curved, and we have the detachable head as well. And we'll compare the size to the Instinct trimmer. You see it's even a little more compact than the Instinct trimmer. Now let's talk about weight and sound real quick. VGR 880C clipper. 7.8 ounces, since we have the Instinct clipper out. 7.5 ounces. Compared to a Magic Clip, 10.2. Now 880T trimmer, 6 ounces. Compared to the Instinct trimmer, 6.4 ounces. All right, now let's check the sound on the clipper. So coming in at 65 decibels, pretty quiet. It's also still a fairly new machine. Let's compare it to an Instinct. And this has some miles on it. So coming in over 10 decibels louder at 76 decibels. Now let's check out the trimmer for the VGR. So coming in at 68 decibels, still pretty quiet. Let's compare it to an old Instinct trimmer. So coming in at 82 decibels, very loud, very loud. Once you pass 80, it's pretty loud. All right, so now let's get into the money question and talk about the price for these machines. So for the clipper on AliExpress, you can find it for around the $70 range. I've seen a couple listings where it's $130, but don't pay that. Wait till it drops to that $70 range. And for the trimmer, it can be found now at the $70 range or lower. I haven't seen this jump up in price yet. I just think the clippers must sound a little bit more. And both of these machines are available in 3 colors, white, black, or neon green. And let's talk about the accessories that come with these machines for that price. All right, so for the clipper, you get instruction booklet, plenty of oil, nice clean out brush, charging stand that charges regular plug or USB-C, USB to regular plug charging cable, USB to USB-C charging cable, a set of guards, no magnets, color coded, starting with the number 8 to 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.5, 1, and a half. And the plastic on them is pretty decent. And with the trimmer, you will get instruction booklet, oil, not as much as the clipper, but still a good amount. And by the way, these are oils I have from other machines. When you order from AliExpress, they don't ship with oil because of a flight restriction. You also get a good clean out brush. Charging stand, again, that charges regular plug or USB-C, USB to regular power cable, USB-C charging cable, a set of 4 guards starting with the number 2, 1.5, 1, and a half guard. And a lot of people don't use these, but they are usable to get in those hard to reach areas like under the mustache. All right, so now it's the teardown section. Now let's open these machines up and see what they look like inside. All right, so here's the internals. We have the clipper right here and the trimmer right here. Let's take a look at those outer rotor brushless motors. Pretty quiet. Spin around, and you can touch it while it spins. And they're pretty well protected in there. Let's take a look at the motherboard. Pretty much look the same. Turn it to the side, get a peek at the battery. And that's pretty much it. That's how it's looking inside. All right, so my final thoughts on the VGR 880 clipper and trimmer. I must say, I think this might be the most powerful motor on the market today because I've never seen anything go through the brush like it did. Not even the Instinct went through the brush like that. And the only thing that ruins this machine for me is the ceramic blades. Other than that, everything is true. The runtime that they say it gets is true. The RPMs that they say it gets is true. It's just that ceramic cutting blade. It just ruins it for me. The liner will go through bulk, but it's not going to hit right. You could get away with the ceramic blade on the clipper, but I just think it takes away from the true performance that this motor can do. So wait until TPOB drops his Vortex motor, and I think you're really going to see how powerful it could get. So like and subscribe. We got more reviews and comparisons of products you might not be up on, or you might just be on the fence about buying. So Barber's Lounge, baby, where it goes down. Peace.